Today, when one thinks of Mongolia, they imagine a united country perhaps. If they know a bit of history, they envision the Mongol Empire under the great Khans such as Genghis and Kublai, but the country wasn't always united with the name Mongolia. It is unknown when Touman was born, though it was roughly around 270 BC, somewhere on the present-day Mongolian plains. His father was Genghis Khan of the Huns or Xiongnu people, and whose ancestry can be traced back with certainty to a chieftain named Ukrat in 470 BC, though there is little beyond names to work with. So for the purpose of this study, Touman will be where we begin our journey. As the only son of Genghis Khan, Touman was destined to lead his people upon his father's death. But at the time, the Xiongnu were being oppressed by a larger, stronger tribe known as the Yuezhi. The Yuezhi, unlike the Xiongnu, who were native to the Mongolian steppes, originally came from Europe in centuries past and still, for the most part, retained their European appearance, many having blonde hair and blue eyes. Be that as it may, they still lived like other steppe people, nomadic and hunting for their food or raiding. And by raiding, they had come to dominate the native tribes. Genghis Khan never opposed them during his rule, preferring to get along as best he could with them. But Touman grew to harbor a great hatred for the Yuezhi, and when he became Khan, or in Xiongnu, in 229 BC, he immediately went on the offensive, defeating them in multiple battles and asserting his independence. But even doing so did not free the Xiongnu from worry as another people. The Donghu were on the rise on the steppes, and they fought with Touman for dominance. By this time, the Xiongnu had one son, Modu, born in 234 BC, his mother unknown. For whatever reason, Touman did not care for his eldest and put his affection on a younger son, whose name is lost a few years after Modu's birth. In later years, tensions between his two sons became so great that Xiongnu formed a sinister plan to get rid of Modu. Still at odds with the Yuezhi, Touman sent his eldest son as a hostage to their main village in 211 BC, ostensibly to show his goodwill towards them. However, a few nights later, he attacked at midnight, catching the Yuezhi completely off guard, killing scores of them. This, he hoped, would drive them to kill Modu in revenge. But unfortunately for the Xiongnu, and fortunately for the young man, the prince escaped his enemies' clutches and returned to Xiongnu territory. Pretending all was well, Touman welcomed his son back with open arms, but Modu wasn't fooled. In secret, he formed a group of loyal warriors whom he trained day and night in archery, making his father believe he did so for his benefit. On a warm spring day in 209 BC, while Touman, Modu, and his younger son were out hunting, Modu's men ambushed the group on the eldest prince's orders. Touman and his youngest son died in a hail of arrows, and Modu became Xiongnu. Immediately upon the death of his father and sibling, Modu rode back to the Xiongnu capital, putting his stepmother to death, believing she had been a driving force in his attempted murder. And then, when several sub-chiefs refused to acknowledge his succession, he killed them as well, beginning his reign with blood on his hands. It didn't stop there either. The Donghu, becoming increasingly expansionist in mindset, tried taking lands that lie between the two peoples, causing Modu to rally his warriors and launch a devastating attack against them, igniting a short war that ultimately saw the Donghu cease to exist as a unified people, splitting up into the Xianbai and Wuhan tribes in 208 BC. His victory over the Donghu terrified other steppe peoples, horrified at how effective he was at destroying a people. The next to feel his wrath was the Dingling tribe, a people of Iranian origin who migrated from the Middle East in times past. He defeated them in a few battles and turned his attention to the Yuezhi, determined to do what his father could not. He waged war against them until 203 BC, when he finally crushed them, forcing the tribe to accept his overlordship. These victories brought Modu vast swaths of lands across what is today Mongolia, bringing in trade from China and other Asian states at the time, and it effectively made him ruler of all of Mongolia, even if he never used the title. His people knew 3 years of peace, but in 200 BC, Modu went to war again, this time with China. The reason is unclear, but the Xiongnu seems to have wanted to expand his territories and invaded Shanxi in northern China, besieging the provincial capital of Taiyuan. The Emperor Liu Bang, only 2 years into his reign, led troops himself to drive the Xiongnu back, which he managed to do, but Modu, to stop the Chinese from invading his lands, blockaded them on the Baden Plateau, where a battle was fought. While the Xiongnu suffered more casualties, they ultimately won the battle by forcing the emperor to retreat. A great blow to Liu Bang and a boost in Modu's reputation among both the steppe peoples and the Chinese themselves. The Battle of Baidam was the first in a long war between China and the Xiongnu Modu, never giving up on his ambitions of expanding into northern China, but each time he failed, though not without delivering great blows to his enemies in the process. In an attempt to create peace between their two peoples, Liu Bang sent a messenger to Modu, asking for a marriage alliance. The Xiongnu agreed, and the emperor sent his eldest daughter, her name unknown, to be Modu's wife. From this union was born Modu's eldest son, Zhu-In. 199 BC, after the war with China, Modu settled down to rule his people, not seeing war for well over a decade. His last known battle came in 178 BC, when he fought against rebel Yuzi and a people known as the Wushan, defeating them. Modu Xiongnu died of natural causes in 170 BC.